Welcome everybody. This is my presentation on participating in the world of dark tourism. For centuries, dark tourism has been an ongoing affair, but there are controversies behind it. Some believe performing dark tourism is terrible, while others disagree. Dark tourism is not just for fun. It's to learn about the history of the tragedy that occurred, to experience the physical, emotional, and mental feel of what happened, even if seen unacceptable to some. While many go to places of tragedy in remembrance, others go for an educational experience. What is dark tourism? Dark tourism is visiting a place where some of the darkest events of human history have unfolded, such as tragedies, deaths, and cemeteries. Another form of dark tourism is thanatourism, which is a thanatopic practice that involves travel. An example of thanatourism is ghost hunting at different locations. There is a show on the Travel Channel called Ghost Adventures. They visit all different locations like abandoned hospitals, hotels, and houses to connect with the dead, to find the history of what happened, and to get answers. What some people don't realize is how dark tourism has been going on for centuries. As Samson said, crowds gathering to watch public hangings in London in the 16th century. Those are relatively modern compared with the bloody spectacles that unfolded in the Colosseum in Rome. This activity is nothing new to the world, as it has been going on for a long time. There are more places than we know of that could be considered as dark tourism, having been invented by researchers John Lennon and Malcolm Foley in 1996, has since been extended to include sites that are not only scenes of death and disaster, but also exhibitions that commemorate tragedy, in which death and suffering are recreated through artifacts, films, and simulations as their core theme, such as the Titanic exhibits that collect artifacts from the tragedies to show those around the country of what survived and how the culture was during the time of the devastation. There are many reasons for dark tourism. It could be for educational purposes, or for experience and entertainment, or people just want to show their respects for the ones who lost their lives. What about the other side of the controversies? There are lots of people who believe reading a book or searching on the internet is good enough. They don't think those who visit the location should feel the need to if they can just look it up on the internet or read a book. If the devastation was shown on television, they feel that's enough and shouldn't be taken any further. For them, it sits uncomfortably by the fact that these sites have been commercial ventures on which death and suffering have themselves been turned into a commodity. They want these locations to be respected and preserved, not to satisfy those of the living that come to get pictures of the location. There are several places like San Francisco's Alcatraz and Singapore's Changi prison that appeals to thousands of visitors every year. Numerous people want to visit these very well-known locations because of how unfortunate the history is. Sometimes the location is an area that catches people's attention, such as Alcatraz. It's an It's on an island just off San Francisco's shore by the Golden Gate Bridge. When individuals pass by, they want to know what it is, or they read what others have gone through and want to experience it themselves. With dark tourism growing, old prisons that are no longer occupied are now authorizing tourists to experience what it's like to be a prisoner. When Buddha, Byron, and Martini mentions how dark tourism serves as a contemplative mechanism that helps us negotiate the fear brought by the awareness of our morality. They are talking about the fear we have when it comes to death, to help us understand the grief death comes with. People are still against dark tourism, even though it is permitted and accepted by some communities, because either they are the victims of the tragedy or they are the family members of the victims. They aren't fond of others viewing their hurt, nor are they fond of others gaining from their loss. They deem dark tourism as wrong or unethical. They also don't support those who have desires to see the disaster that was taken place to get a sense of satisfaction of the tragedy. But we are for dark tourism. When thinking about it, most history is dark. I think when we go to these places, we see not strangers, but often we see ourselves and perhaps what we might do in those circumstances. When visiting locations of the dark tourists will often think about what they would have done if they were put in a situation of tragedy. How they would do different that could save them from death. Going on these tours can be a great learning experience because of the information the guide, who more than likely lives in the community, has knowledge that was never told to writers. Not all dark locations have a book written about it. And when learning about the tragedy, there are important places for us to reflect on and try to better understand the evil that we're capable of. Such as why it happened, what made the person do what they did, what was going on in that person's head at the moment it was happening. Reflecting on what happened can help us if we were to ever be in that position. Most of us feel the need to remember those who lost their lives even though we didn't know them. To pay respects and to show those who lost their loved ones in the tragedy that they aren't alone and have support from others. There are those with special gifts such as mediums that come and help reconnect the living with the ones who pass. Mediums receive messages from the dead to say their final words to the ones that are still alive. Some may not believe in mediums, but there are a lot of things in the universe that we don't understand. Along with knowledge, experience, and remembrance, there is also the entertainment factor. When tourists go on tours to dark places, they get the sense of adrenaline, of danger, and scariness. They appeal to people who like feeling simultaneously scared, but not vulnerable. Tour operators say, if believed, spirits are known to stay in the place they have passed, if they can't find peace. When going on tours, some may experience touch, emotional change, or mentally drained, hence the adrenaline. For those who are spiritual, it is a feel of excitement to be able to contact those who have lost their lives, to find out what happened. In all, dark tourism helps the community economy because the tourist brings business to the bars, shops, and restaurants when they go to visit, which is why it's becoming more welcomed, especially if it can be controlled through ghost tours, because there is a tour guide that can watch over to make sure it is done respectfully. As seen as something negative, dark tourism can be done in a positive way. With the education, experience, and entertainment it has, dark tourism also helps the community grow economically. After being done for centuries, dark tourism will never change, but will continue to grow more popular. History has been made, and books can only tell so much, but in-person experience is another level of learning what went on in the past. And here's some locations in Arizona where ghost tours are accepted and done, such as the Jerome Grand Hotel in Jerome, Tombstone Birdcage Theater, Vulture City, and Globe's Old Jail.